Hello, my name is James Goltz, and in today's beginner tutorial, we're going to be going over how to create a standards-compliant website using the Info2Go content management system. Before we begin, a little bit about me. I'm a recent graduate of the Florida State University's Information Technology program. My specialties include web design and web development. I am experienced in creating standards-compliant websites, as well as working with the client to deliver the perfect website. You can contact me at jmgoltz@gmail.com for further information and employment opportunities. Let's get started.
Okay, so we're here at the Info2Go login screen. You can see I've got my information already filled out, so let's go ahead and log in. All right, so logging in takes you to this main screen. You have three different things here: your menu manager, your hotspot manager, and your explorer. For this tutorial on creating web pages, we're going to focus with the explorer tool, so let's click on that. Clicking on that takes you to this other screen here. This is going to be your file browser screen. On your left are the different folders on the web server. You see you got here your images. We have some of our different folders that host different sites within the server. We have our publications, our promises, etc. For this tutorial, we're going to go to the tutorial directory. Doing so brings us to the tutorial folder. You can see that's denoted over here. Now, beneath that, we have here our display that shows what files are available in that directory. In this case, it's tutorial.asp. That's one we made in a previous time. We're going to ignore that. Above that, we see a row of buttons here: new page, delete, clone, etc. We're going to do new page. Makes sense, right? New page, create a new page. So doing that brings up the WYSIWYG editor. WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. You're probably going to be familiar with this already if you've worked in Microsoft Word. You'll notice the interface is pretty similar. You can select your font size, font type, your format, your stylings. You can bold, you can italicize, underline. And so we're going to be going over some of these features, and we're going to be using them throughout this tutorial. So first things first, we need to name our file. You'll go up here to File Name when you name it. Now, specifically, when you're doing this, some things to keep in mind: you cannot have any spaces or special characters. So you can't call it James space file, for example. That's not going to work. You also can't call it James at file, or you can't have exclamation points, pound signs, etc. It can only be words, can only be letters or numbers, and no spaces. Also, when you finish naming your file, it must end in .asp. Anything else and it will not work. So let's go ahead and call this tutorial2. .asp. All right. Beneath that, you can see here page title. Now, this is the default title right here: Children's Campaign Incorporated -Home. You can change that if you want, but for now, we're just going to leave it the way it is. So let's go ahead and create a basic web page. Sometimes you'll see this kind of text here that's already filled in. Go ahead and delete that. So go ahead and highlight, hit backspace, it's gone. We don't need that there. In fact, you'll probably want to delete it if it shows up. So you have your justify icons here. It's similar to Word. Go ahead and center it. We're going to go to size. And for this, because we're doing a large kind of header, like a welcome to type thing, we're going to click on large. Simple enough. All right, so welcome to our first web page. Smiley face. And there we go. So we have a header, and you can see how we did that. We went to center. We selected large size. So we're done here. Go ahead and hit enter. We're going to go back to left justify. And let's go ahead and turn the font down to small. Because what we're going to do at this point is, let's say we're entering in some page content. So this is some content for the page. All right. So obviously, I'm sure you keep typing and typing and typing, but this would do it for now. So we have our text here. Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and scroll down a few lines. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you have the insert /edit image function. And it's this icon right here, the picture of a mountain and what looks like a sun or a moon. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring up a image properties web page dialog. Now, you have several options here. First thing we're going to do, you see you have URL. That's the address of the image you're going to want. So we're going to click over here, Browse Website Files. And website files, what that really means is files available on the Children's Campaign server. This should look familiar to you now. This is the Explorer screen again. we're going to go to the images directory here. And that'll just take a few seconds to load. And what it's doing is loading a list of all the files in the directory we chose. So here we go, all the images we have. Let's go ahead and use this one. Here we go, Alachua sponsors JPEG. All right, so you'll notice now URLs filled in with the directory and the name of the file. All right, beneath that, you have a field called alternative text. Now, there's nothing, it won't necessarily make your page a bad page. If you leave the text out, it won't not work. But to maintain standards compliancy, you're going to want to fill this in. The reason is because somebody that's disabled that may not be able to see the actual page itself, the program they use to browse will be able to read the alternative text out to them so they know what the image is. So let's go ahead and call this what it is. Let's call it Alachua sponsors image. And then you have your width and your height. These are measured in pixels. And if you want, you can align left, align right, top, bottom. We'll leave that alone for now. Let's go ahead and also click over to the link tab. It should look familiar. URL. We could either link it to Google and by typing in Google like that, and we'd be done with it. Or in this case, let's pretend we're linking this image to another file on the Children's Campaign server. So click on Browse Website Files. The Explorer comes up. We're going to go to Publications. Let's pretend we're linking it to a publication of some sort. Okay, we're linking it to the advocacy flyer. So there we go. Actually, let's go ahead and that could present problems. So that file name could. So we are actually going to go back to Publications, Advocacy Publications. All right. Everything is filled out. We're happy with that. Let's click OK. And there you go. It's right there in the page. Okay, good. So we're almost done here. Let's go ahead and let me show you how to insert a regular link as well. So, you have some more text. And then you want to say to your reader, okay, click here to find out more. So we'll go ahead and do a link to Google. Now, we have the text we want to link. We're going to go ahead and select it. It's highlighted. You'll come up here and you'll look for the icon. It's right here. Globe with the chain on it. Clicking on that brings up the dialog. And here we go. So we have our link type. You could pick if it's an email, if it's an anchor on the page, and that's a bit more advanced. We'll cover that in another tutorial. We're going to stick with URL. Protocol type, we're going to stick with HTTP. Let's go ahead and type in at this point www.google.com. You don't need to type the HTTP. That's covered here in protocol. So let's go ahead and click OK. And there you go. You have your link to Google. So here's our first web page. We have our text, we have our content, image, more text, and a hyperlink. We're happy with what we have. Let's go ahead and click Save. And it's going to drop you back to the main Explorer screen. So don't be alarmed if suddenly you're not looking at tutorial and you're lost. It's always going to put you back at top folder. Just remember that and you'll be fine. Let's go back to the tutorial directory. And there it is, tutorial2.asp. You also have the option to preview it. So let's do that. And you will see, there it is, our first web page. And when you edit, you just edit that particular part. This part right here, the actual square. You're not going to be editing any of this, so you don't have to worry. And there you go. So you have a web page that you've created using the Info to Go editor, and it is now placed on the Children's Campaign website. So that is a tutorial on how to make web pages using the Info to Go content management system. Again, my name is James Golds. Thank you for following my tutorial. And if you'd like to contact me, my email address is jmgolz, jmgolz, @gmail.com. Thank you very much.